Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today we are going to be hanging out with
Papa Tom Caraher. Oh, yeah.
But first, we're going to kick off with one of his tracks. This is a track from Tom Caraher called Tribes.
Just one moon lighten up the night, and there's our sun keeping everything so bright. Why, oh why, I wonder why we form tribes. Breathe the same air that keeps us all alive, and love our families with oh so much pride. So why, oh why, I wonder why we form tribes. I don't need to pray the way you do. My spoken language differs too. I define love the way I choose, and stay in my tribe safe from you. I'm with my family here in my clan, surrounded by the people of my land. They taught me how to live and love, who to love. So here we are in our different tribes, feeling safe in our own way of life. My father taught me how and who to hate, who to hate. I don't need to vote the way you do. My social causes differ too. I define freedom differently. We're both in our tribes, can't you see? To pray the way you do. My spoken language differs too. I define love the way I choose, and stay in my tribe safe from you. I don't need to pray the way you and stay in my tribe safe from you.
Good morning. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. That was Tribes from Papa Tom Caraher. And what a great track. Yeah, great track to open the show with. I hope you're all doing well. This is How to App on iOS. My name is Jade, and it's been a morning. Let me tell you, sometimes the internet gods just don't want to play nice, and sometimes technology doesn't want to play nice, but here we are, and we have a fantastic guest on today, somebody I've wanted to have on the show, who you just heard, and his music's amazing, and we're going to get straight into it because we're running late today, and I want to get down to it. So I first came across Tom, I can't remember exactly which group it was in on Facebook, but started hearing his music and seeing his video clips and going, hey, this guy's got something special. Oh, I want to find out more about this Papa Tom. Why is he called Papa? Is he a Smurf? What is the deal? And it was interesting. And then we got to see more of his music and his very hard-hitting writing style. He has a very honest, hard-hitting writing style, which I love. You know, I love that kind of stuff. I love people who write from the heart and tell it like it is, because I think there's not enough of it in the world. And he's become very beloved throughout the community, and worked with working with more and more people and doing a whole lot of collabs and stuff like that. So we finally have him on the show today. So without further ado, let me welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Papa Tom Caraher. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
We made
Papa
it.
Smurf. Papa Smurf here.
I know. So let's go on that. Where did the Papa come from? Where did you derive that from?
Well, I didn't. Now everyone's going to think this is kind of funny because nobody thinks that I'm shy. Nobody thinks that I'm bashful or that I like to keep, my private life secret or things like that. But in the early days of Facebook, I was still working. I had a big corporate job with the suit and the tie and the whole 9 yards. And I just wasn't sure I wanted everybody to know everything about me and my family. So I was talking to my daughter, and she said, well, why don't you just use what the grandkids call you, which is Papa. And a little bit of history beyond that is that my family's from Ireland, and everybody is a Papa. And so you're either a Papa or a Pappy. And my father was a Papa, my grandfather was a Pappy. And it just sticks. And I think with me looking as old as I do, it fits, and it's caught on, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it suits really well too. I think it's a important thing to have a name that stands out as an artist. I see it a lot that people kind of, it's okay to have a kind of stage name. It makes you stand out. I feel so terrible for the people in the world who are called John Smith and who are the most amazing guitarist on the planet. They've already got an uphill battle.
All right, yeah.
So I'll hit you with the first question. Hit you with everybody. Tom, what does music mean to you?
Well, I've heard you ask everybody this question, and when I think about it, I always say, "Oh, she's got my answer." That's the answer that I would have. But music is really, I think the best word for me is music is an old friend. It's there when I'm happy. It's there when I'm sad. It's there when I want to share things with people, and it's just always there. It's never failed me in my entire life. Music is just always there for me. It's like the air that I breathe.
It's good in this world to have a security blanket to fall back on, because especially in the troubling times that we are experiencing right now, music is, I guess it's like that for me too. When all the chips were down, there was always a guitar. I know when I was homeless for a period of time, I still was living in a park homeless, but I had a guitar and there was Wi-Fi in the park, and I was able to still make music in GarageBand on my iPad. But so it was okay. It was okay. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think, one of the things that I think does define me a little bit is that I goof around and I have a lot of fun, but when I'm writing, I often write songs with a social message. And so the other thing that music is for me is it gives me a platform to reaffirm to myself and to tell others what I believe in, what's important to me. And for me, I just think that's important. I sing about things that matter to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell that. So the track we opened with today, Tribes, do you want to tell us a little bit about what that is? I opened for a specific reason because, we're in a time where, to me, I get from that is, there's a lot of tribalism going on. But at the same time,
Right.
we need tribes as well. They're a necessary evil. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what that song means to
Well,
you?
I should have had you write the cover jacket for that. It's exactly that. I was probably reacting to something in the news that I had heard where there was something going on politically or something that was real important, but only the people who already believed in it were ever going to hear that news, because if I believe in something else, I'm off listening to a different channel. And that channel's telling me what I want to hear and things like that. So we have bifurcated across the world into different channels or different tribes. And as you said, Jade, they are also what we call our family. We all come from tribes. And there was another song I wrote called The Emerald Isle, where I talked about the tribalism in Ireland back to the 12 ancient tribes of Galway. So, it can be a source of comfort. I wrote in the song, my father taught me how to love, but he also taught me how to hate. And I think that's kind of a key thing about tribalism. We tend to emulate our parents, our family, and all those things.
Yeah, it's funny, I see it in the trans community myself. Being trans, I feel like I have to be a part of that community, even though the majority of them don't understand me. But so it's like a necessary tribe to be a part of, but I feel like I don't fit in at all. But it's so tribalism is such an interesting thing, and it especially politically. I remember when you released that song, it was during the election, if I'm correct. The recent election in the US. Yeah. I remember because I was watching the election very closely here from Australia because, hey, what you guys do over there, it affects us here on this tiny little island. So
exactly,
we're watching you very closely. Well, I am anyway. We'll talk a little bit about that further on in because I'm sure you're going to have some strong opinions like I do.
Yep.
Can you let me know the music that you recall being played in your household growing up, and has it influenced you?
Yes, it has. So both my parents were musicians. My father much more so than my mother, but music was everywhere growing up. So it was in the house, 24/7. When I started taking accordion lessons, which was my first instrument, my father went with me, and he went into one room and took organ lessons, and I went into a different room and took accordion lessons.
Wow.
And he had actually been a trombone player earlier in his life and played in big bands and things like that. So that tells you what type of music was playing on the radio or on the record player back then. It was a lot of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Nice.
And I was about, one of my memories, I knew you were going to ask this question, but so for all the guys and a couple of the dirty girls in the chat here, one of my memories as a 12-year-old boy was my father got that album, A Taste of Honey, from the Tijuana Brass. And if anyone remembers that record cover, it was a naked woman covered in whipped cream. And she had nothing else but whipped cream. And to a 12-year-old boy, that was as close to porn as I was ever going to see. But that was the kind of music. And then this might sound strange, but there was a lot of religious music. A lot of religious music in my in my background, and that influenced me as well. So I'm laughing because what you're about to put up on the screen.
There it is there. Man, she looks sexy. Look at all that.
I'll tell you what, I tried to melt that whipped cream so many different ways. I took an eraser to it. There was
You could do that probably these days with the technology we have.
you
Do you know what, Tom? There's an app for that now.
I know there is now. I use it all the time.
Holy hell. What do you recall the first album that you purchased?
Yes, I do.
And was given to you. So one that was purchased for you and one that was given to you.
This is sad. I don't think anyone's ever given me an album, and
What?
But I why would they? But I do have a quick story about an album that I'll share with you. And there's one person in the chat that knows the story. But the first album I bought was Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
Yes.
I was very young, and I was too young to actually legally work, but I had an aunt down the street that could change your birth certificate. And I had this little job in a restaurant, and I got my first paycheck, and my paycheck was enough to pay for the album.
Right.
And and I bought that album, and I sang every song, and my voice hadn't developed yet. And it was very painful for the people in the house to hear me singing along with that album. But I think it started to shape me a little bit, because even the El Condor Pasa that's on that album is a social influence about an endangered species, and it just kind of hooked me in. The album that someone gave to me, I just remembered as I was saying, no one ever gave me an album. This is a really cool story. So because of my age, and because I took a huge hiatus between about age 30 and then about age 60, because I was working, I wasn't producing any music. So I had been in an album, the real deal, in a recording studio with some amazing people. And I don't expect most to know this name, but you can look it up. Gary Loazu was the recording artist. He is also the lead singer of the American Breed that wrote Bend Me, Shape Me, the big one-hit wonder band. And so he engineered this album, and the album is called Folks, and it's way out of publication. And I went on to one of these artist websites. I found the album and just made a note like, hey, that's me. And I got an email a few days later from a collector in Washington, D.C. And he said, I've had this album. It's never been played. And I'd love to send it to you, because I had made a comment that I don't have the album. And so this guy sent me this album, paid for UPS and everything. And this was about a year ago. And then some of you know Jason Lemansky, who does a lot of writing and recording with me. He had the ability to digitize the album. And one of the songs we played on Ron Ward's show one day. So that was a nice gift.
So next question I want to hit you with is a new one, which I've added to the show. Is do you recall the first live performance you went to of a band, first live gig?
Yeah. Not me playing. And this will date me too. I went to see the Association. If anyone remembers that band, they were definitely easy listening. So I went I took a girl, and it was like a date thing. And we went down, I'm from Chicago. We went downtown Chicago to like the Civic Opera House or something like that. And we saw this band, the Association. And I remember it, but a year later, I was back right across the street at Grant Park watching Sly and the Family Stone, and part of the big riots that happened with the Democratic Convention of '69. So it was amazing how my musical tastes had changed in just a year. And a year after that, I was buying tickets and traveling around the region to see Wishbone Ash anywhere they played. Anything they did, I was a huge Wishbone Ash fan.
It makes me wonder, do people travel around like that anymore? I've done things like that with Faith No More, Mr. Bungle. I went to,
Yeah.
I think every Mr. Bungle gig in Australia. I went to every state I could. I think I saw 16 shows. Do kids do that anymore? I wonder. What's your
I
thoughts?
think they do. I think kids do. I don't think papas do that.
Or are they too busy staring at TikTok? That's the question.
Right.
That's the real question. Now, you said you were playing the accordion from a young age. Was that the first instrument that you picked up? Were you forced to have lessons? Was a recorder on your horizon as a child as well?
I knew you were going to ask the recorder question, and I'm probably the only guest, especially one that's pretty musical, that says no. I never played the recorder. I grew up in a pretty poor neighborhood, and went to a Catholic school that was very bootstraps. The church was actually in the basement of the school, so this wasn't a big fancy place by any means. And it was a stripped down academic program. There, music was, we sang religious songs or something. But my cousins that went to the public school right across the street all learned how to play the recorder. And I wanted to learn how to play the recorder, and I never did. But I did have accordion lessons. I hated it because it wasn't cool. So what I used to do was flip the accordion on its side to make it play like a piano.
Right.
And I would do this with the squeeze and make it play. And a few years later, I was taking my paper route money and buying a Wurlitzer, and then I bought a Fender Rhodes, and went down that path. So most people see me play guitar a lot on videos, but my first instrument was definitely the keys. I played organ in church for many years. Played piano a lot. Anytime I could get my hands on a piano, I was playing it. So I'm more comfortable there. When I played in a rock band, I had the B3 and the synthesizers and the whole 9 yards.
I've just seen in the chat. I've got a comment from someone. I should put this up, see if I can get it to work. Where's my chat? Oh, wow, is chat working? I actually can't get that comment to load for some reason.
Oh.
But my stupid chat's not working probably. But Joe and Barry, Joe has said, "What the fuck is wrong with the recorder?"
I think I would be a different man today if I had learned to play the recorder.
Do you still play the accordion? Is it something that you play? Do you pick it up? Is it still something that you play?
Sure. And I've got probably half a dozen tracks that show me playing it. I have a different accordion. The accordion that I had back then was what's called your normal kind of keys on one side, buttons on the other. It's the standard, accordion. I have a Hohner, about 100-year-old accordion that's got buttons on both sides, and I play that on a number of songs. And then I also have a concertina, which is a different instrument, and it has buttons, but you play one way, the music, it's like playing a harmonica, then play another way, you get a different note. So they're very different than the standard accordion.
Well, I'm going to jump in and play a track because we're running a little late. So I'm going to jump in and play a track called Someplace Else. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this track? And then once we play this, we'll come back and we'll say hello to everybody here in the chat. So what's the story behind Someplace Else?
So the quick story behind this is how great our community is. So people put up music through different groups. I'm part of the Songwriters Anonymous group. And a guy in that group, Jim Hebert, put up a song that he sang with Chris Lane Sr. And it had a line in their song about choices they had made and living with the consequences. And it was a very different song than I would write musically, but it was enough to spark an idea for me. And so I wrote this song with the idea of making bad choices and having to live with them and what are the consequences. I played an early version of it for the folks in Songwriters Anonymous. And Just Naya, or Naya Medved, that you've had on the show, she sent me a message and said, I would love to be your wife. So she proposed to me. And I came back within about a half hour with some lyrics for her to sing. And we patched it together. And I hope everyone enjoys the song.
Awesome stuff. Let's get to this. This is Someplace Else, and we'll see you back shortly, guys. Enjoy, and see you back shortly.
I'm so alone, I don't know why. Some choices made would make you cry. Looking at these bars of steel and gazing at the sky, wishing I was someplace else. Why, oh, why am I? Counting my days, wishing I was home. I'm playing that night over and over in my head, remembering choices, most of them bad. Now I'm staring through these bars of steel, and I know that this is so real. Fantasizing about the day after, when, oh, when I'm done. Wonder will I say I'm sorry, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'll just change my story, say I forgot.
Papa Tom, Someplace Else. Welcome back. Nice song,
I've
man.
never heard.
Oops.
I've never heard applause to that song before.
it's my new roadcaster. I get to put applause wherever I like now. It's
There you
fantastic.
Well, I need applause. Hey, I wanted to apologize to everybody because I got this light coming at me. At this time of the day, the sun just comes through this big window and there's nothing I can do about it, but it won't last long.
It happens.
It goes behind some trees pretty quick.
Tom, I want you to raise your fist and yell at the clouds and tell them, do it for Pete Johns. Pete Johns will love that.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's say hello to the folks who are here today. Thank you all. There's so many of you here. There's over 30 of you here. So if you want me to call your name out right now, please type in the chat so I can see you all here, so I don't have to do any scrolling. We've got Howling Fret Fumbler, Maffey's Garden, Scott Borthwick, Thomas Christ, Jenny's here, Joe, Glenn, Dom Torregrosa, the Lily Pillies, Manny, hello, Laurie's Mishmosh, Pete Johns, Viscusi. Who else do I see? I think I also saw Jason, your cohort as well. A cohort, your companion. Derek is here as well. Who else? Wolfstone Studio. Oh, he said Pete Johns. Who else do I see? Benedict Stewart, did I see as well? The Falcrow, good to see you, my friend. Kim Harden Hudson. Jamie Mallender, dude. There we go. Some sound effects just for you. Anyone else? If I've missed you, I do apologize. I get you to type so I can see your name and yell it out. But thank you all for being here today. And I want to know now, what was your first band, Tom? And tell us about jamming gigs. What was your first band name? I always find it interesting to hear a first band name.
I've been dying to answer this question. So I was pretty young, but this was the 60s, and it was the middle of the 60s. And so paisley and pink and all those colors were hot. Hot pink was a big deal. And the name of my band was Liquid Love.
Sexy.
Don't you have a sound effect for that? Boom, boom. And the theme of the time was not, if you had 5 years earlier, the name would have been The Liquid Loves, and it would have said, for bookings, call Tom Caraher and a phone number. This just said Liquid Love and my mother's phone number.
Wow.
And we never had to change the phone number, but we got lots of phone calls, and my mother kept saying, "What's the name of that band again?" And I was so young, I really didn't know that it had another meaning, but that was the name of the band. And for the love of Facebook, recently I stumbled across the drummer, and the drummer was a young lady by the name of Mara Wasser. She has a married name now, and if she's connected to me, so she might see this interview. But she wore, and Laurie's Mishmash would like this. She wore pink velvet hot pants with a darker shade of pink nylons and tube tops, and would be up there playing. And we built a stage for her to play her drums, and we sucked. We sucked the really big one. So I've been played in bands all the way till I was in my 30s, but I don't know how many of you have ever had this experience where a bunch of girls walk across the stage and just do this as they're walking
that
across.
Sucks.
That's how bad we sucked. But the next band.
So I guess you didn't get laid at that gig.
No, I listened to Brad Example's interview, and none of that ever happened. I've never been out by a trailer. None of that stuff ever happened. But the next band was a band named Buchanan, and that Buchanan was the town I grew up in. We had a summer cottage, and it was near a town called Buchanan, and we named the band, and we stuck together for quite a while, all the way into college. We got really good. We got very professional. We had the corporate-owned instruments and systems. We had trucks. We had roadies. And one of the challenges that I have in mixing and polishing off music is that, and I've told this story a few times, if I went near the board in that band, I would have had my fingers chopped off. I was told, stay away from the board and electronics. Your job is up on stage. Our job is back here running the board. So it was a pretty professional band, and we stuck together for quite a while. I'm still in good contact with a few of the guys. One of the guys, the guitar player, who was just an amazing guitar player, just passed away over Christmas of COVID. He got COVID at Thanksgiving, and he was dead by Christmas.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
But other than that, there were some pretty cool folks in the band. Something that kind of connects to that. I'm from Chicago, and so music was everywhere. Again, a lot of the people are probably younger than remembering this, but there was a band that was a big Chicago blues band called Siegel Schwal's Blues Band, and the bass player's name was Rollo Radford, and he played a glass fretless Armstrong bass. And his little brother was a friend of mine who actually played piano pretty good and taught me a lot of things. So I have all these different friends. All the folks from Styx are right in my neighborhood. My band used to play with them and things like that. When John Kruzulizak was kicked out so Tommy Shaw could come into Styx, John asked me to be in a band, and I was now way out of my league. We were playing all kinds of complex instruments and complex music, and it was much more than my simple style could handle. But always a lot of famous people before they were famous were part of the neighborhood. One of the guys who wound up as the singer and drummer of Buchanan, and he's a guy that some of you might see saying stuff on social media to me because he's constantly chatting, is Kenny Cetera. And Kenny is Pete Cetera of Chicago's little brother. And on a half a dozen of the Chicago songs of probably the late 70s and early 80s, Kenny is doing backup vocals. So a lot of really great influences from people just around the community.
You know, it's fascinating. From my time getting to know your music and watching your music videos and listening to and seeing how your process and getting to know you, it seems like, you've had a lot of musicians. You've had a lot of interactions with different musicians. And like you say, you mentioned there, offhand going, my music isn't complex. I find that you have a lot of complexity with instruments. You keep it there's a very broad with instruments. There's always fascinating stuff going on in your song. And, hey, complexity doesn't make a great song. Simplicity is the key to a great song. And any producer will tell you that. That's how the biggest songs get made. So, do you have, like, I'm assuming you're a multi-instrumentalist. On your current music, do you have a lot of people come through and help create the songs that you're releasing these days?
Yeah, I guess the answer is yes. So a quick story about this. My New Year's resolution, and I've never made them, never keep them, but this year my resolution was musically to be unpredictable and to do more collaborations. And the reason why I like collaborating is they're uncomfortable. Somebody sends you a track, or they lay down, their piece of a project, and in your head, it just sucks. It's like, oh my God, now how am I going to get out of this? I've already said yes to this person, and they sent me this track, and it just sucks. And I get such joy and such knowledge and learning about taking that piece of music that somebody sent me and then figuring out how does it not suck and how does it work really well. So I laughed earlier when you said, do you have a lot of people stopping by to help you? So the reason the room is set up the way it is last night I had people from the orchestra in here, and we laid down a string section. And so Jason Lemansky and I wrote this song, and we wrote all the string parts the old-fashioned way. Jason took scale music, and he wrote little notes and he'd send them to me, and I'd pump them into GarageBand and send back a score, and I'd play it back and say, no, that harmony's not going to work. It can't play there. It's got to change. And he'd make a change, and we're going back and forth. So these musicians came in last night for the first time to play music that we had written. And, the first play was, nobody was comfortable with it. So I said, well, let's do it again, and by the sixth time we did it, it started to come together, but I didn't throw away the first 5 tracks, and I put them together and put some filters on and stretched a few things. And the next thing, it created a very beautiful violin and oboe section. So it worked. But I've had that kind of experience where people have sent me stuff and I'm like, what am I going to do with it? And then I learn and I change. So, that's pretty much why I like collaborating.
Now, there's a valuable lesson for you all, folks, and I hope you're paying attention. Record everything. Comping is your friend, because it's a very interesting. Do you find this as a singer? This is something I've been preaching to people for many years. When you're recording and you start doing a demo for a song, and you're like, I'll just throw this vocal out as a demo. This will be the demo track. A lot of the time, that first vocal take ends up somewhere in that final mix.
A part of it does. Yeah, it does. I smiled for 2 reasons, because there's parts of a new song that I'm just releasing today that definitely has a few clips from the first vocal, but it changed a lot. There were all kinds of parts that changed because people that I put it out to said, no, don't do that. Don't give away all the candy up front. Save some for later in the track and things like that. But you do learn through the process.
Now, you mentioned your friend Jason. I want to know about this relationship, because he seems to be in a lot of your songs. Yeah. How long have you known Jason for? What's the story between how you got together and how important is Jason to your songwriting and your creativity?
He's an important guy. I'm smiling for a different reason. Is you guys don't know that Jade and I didn't prep for this, but she just gave me the perfect an intro for a song that's on the list that she's going to play. So I'm going to suggest that we play it. Ironically, Jason's not on this song, but it will tell the story of how we met. So several years ago, my best friend at the time asked me to play in a different symphony. And I'm a percussionist when I play in symphonies. And the percussionists are always in the back row. And then, just right in front of them, you get the brass, and in front of them, you get the woodwinds. So Jason plays the oboe in the orchestra. And we started just being friendly, and he Facebook friended me, and before concerts we'd chat a little bit, and then it really evolved through the pandemic. So early in the pandemic, I wrote a song. I think it might have been a song called Witness, but there might have been one before that. And I asked, everyone was on lockdown at the time, and nobody had GarageBand or even computers in their house. I said, just sing this into your phone and I'll deal with it on my end. And I rip off the audio and make things sound better and all that. And Jason sent me a track, and he said, do you mind if I take some liberties with this song and not play it, not sing it the way you asked me to? And he totally changed the song. So that's kind of his hook now. He'll put a little sizzle on the song, and then he'll say, I totally changed it. It's like it's his song now. But when I posted a new song last night, it's the 7th song that we've done together. So we really, other than playing in the symphony, which we've done for years, this is relatively new. You'll also see Jose Vela is on a lot of my songs, and he's also a common collaborator. We've been playing together for many years and singing together. He was the guy that was on Fire in the Night and things like that. But Jason's a little bit different because we have such a rich musical background of what I'll call professional orchestral music. So we both understand music theory and some of those things, and we can talk that language and try to get the song. So back to the guy that brought us together. Unfortunately, he passed away about a year ago, a young guy. I've talked about him online several times. He was an amazing drummer and an amazing person. And he played and gigged until just weeks before he died of a very painful pancreas cancer. And it just, when Jason and I went to see him when he was in hospice, it wasn't our friend anymore. It was somebody else that was there. And another dear friend of mine is dealing with prostate cancer right now. And he's gotten very active in men's health and being active or being engaged in your own health. And it was those two people that influenced me to write a song that was really focused more on losing someone close to you and things like that. So the song, I had to look it up myself, is Living on Borrowed Time. And I know that's on your list. And
it's actually, it was going to be next, actually.
Yeah. But that's a good intro because the guy who really inspired it never got to hear the song. And I do put a tribute to him at the end of the song.
You know, you bring up a point where before I'm going to play this song right now, actually. So, but with everything that's going on in the world and the focus is on women at the moment with what's happening. But I think you bring up a very good point. Men's health is very important too, folks. So we need to remind our men in our lives to talk and let us know when if you're not feeling well and get seen to, because prostate cancer is a thing, and I think it is important. You know, so much focus on women. Men and women are both important. We need to remember that, and we lose too many people through cancer all the time. So if you, and I know one of a dear friend of the channel at the moment, Thomas Gillane, his mum is currently in hospital, really sick, and she just didn't say anything. So talk to people, find out what's wrong. Listen to people, and let's play this song. This is Living on Borrowed Time, and we'll see you all back here shortly. I'll make sure we've got the volume all up right now, and I'll get it right this time. And we'll be back in a moment. So, folks, kick back, grab a drink, enjoy. This is a really, really awesome song. Let me make sure it is all queued up to perfection. And it looks like we're good. And we'll see you back in a few moments. Boom.
Remember when we were young, no road was too long, our life had just begun. Do you remember when we were two? We could do anything that we set our minds to. This got me thinking about this thing inside of me. You're the reason I'm fighting destiny, so I'll keep pushing, keep on keeping on, building courage just to see tomorrow's dawn. Yes, I need to make the climb, pushing through the pain, living on borrowed time, living on borrowed time, living on borrowed time. I'm just living in the moment, enjoying friends and family, no longer worried about those little things, you know, the ones that used to nag at me. 'Cause I'm full-time keeping on, living each day just to carry on, keeping those I love so close right next to me, living on borrowed time. 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 Living on borrowed. Living on borrowed time.
Living on borrowed time. All right, settle down, you guys. Settle down, relax. Jeez, they're a bit out of control today. Bit out of control. But a great message. You know, we'll talk about messages and stuff in the kind of the third half. I want to talk about your family because your YouTube channel is quite a journey when you go through a lot of your videos. I've had a look through your YouTube channel, and folks, there's a pinned comment at the top of the chat and in the description. You know, so you know down there. Check out Tom's music and his YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. But when you go through your videos, there's a lot of music that kicks off around your family, and there's a lot of family involvement. How important is your family in music? Because they seem to be such a vibrant part of your life.
It's interesting. Obviously, I wasn't expecting that question, but
Good.
So my family is incredibly important. We're in touch every day. During the pandemic, I had the great fortune to be asked by my son and his wife to take on the job of taking care of the grandkids. One of my youngest was actually born during the pandemic, like in March, you know, so very different experience of, you know, when you go to the hospital, usually the parents and grandparents are there. This was like, you know, you're let in through secrecy and all that kind of stuff. But the odd part of it is my kids are not very musical. And my son plays guitar a little bit. Actually, folks have probably noticed I play some songs with a Stratocaster. That's actually my son's Stratocaster. But they enjoy listening more than they enjoy playing. My daughter did a lot of singing when she was younger and toured around with, you know, student groups and sang at the Statue of Liberty and things like that. But none of them really took the bait the way that I did, which I got from my father. So I don't know if there's a big lesson from that or not. It just is what it is. But they're extremely important. And it's part of why I do what I do. My goal when I first started this was not to be famous on the internet, but it was to leave a legacy of like talking videos to my grandchildren and maybe more importantly, my great grandchildren. Part of this is just technology, but I have one picture of my great grandfather. I have maybe 3 pictures of my grandfather, maybe 6 pictures of my father, not a lot at all. And, I don't have any video. I don't have anything that makes them come alive, just pictures, And I want my great grandchildren to be able to log into YouTube and say to their kids, that was your great grandfather. Look what he did. And, that's just a goal of mine. So that's why I do this.
It's interesting because that's exactly the impression I got. It felt like postcards to family. It really does feel like that. Your YouTube channel, it just feels like these postcards. Even your clips, your video clips, I find look like little miniature postcards, little stories encapsulated like a fairy tale, kind of like a children's book coming to life. That's not meant to be insulting. I hope it's not. No. But yeah, these little books that you open up and get taken into, and then I really get that. I really get that from you, what you're doing.
I know the one video that probably is making you say that. But what's funny is, this is a slight plug here, but I have a Papa Tom's Garage Band playlist, and I just published a new playlist today. The first one was Ukrainian music, or in support of Ukraine, and the most recent one, which I let people vote on in a poll, and by far people wanted to hear instrumentals, and so before I would post anything, I go through and I listen to each video. I make comments. I often will subscribe to whoever the artist is, and then I'll put it on the playlist and try to make it a nice order where, fast song, slow song, that kind of thing, where it becomes engaging. One of the videos in the playlist I published today uses the exact same template that's on iMovie that I used in It's Raining, It's Pouring, where I made the little cartoon book come alive. And I said to the guy, hey, I've used that same template before. And it just, things like that, just when I see a little piece of video that comes out of Canva and I've used it in a video, but in a very different way, I just get a big chuckle out of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can see there's a lot of effort that you put into your music and your video clips. I can see there's a lot of thought process behind it. You don't really ever need to explain it. I can see that. I'm sure many others can as well. So I want to talk about lockdown because it's a thing. It happened, and it did affect all of us as musicians. How did the lockdown affect you as a musician?
Well, it was life-changing. If you watch my videos in reverse, so start with what I do today and then go backwards, I lose about 50 pounds. So that's the real cool part about the technology. Just watch me in reverse, I'll lose weight.
Yeah, right.
So, but so I was a gigging musician, and we were playing concerts, and I was also president of the symphony at the time, and we had to make big decisions about not only canceling concerts that were already ticketed and things like that, but also are we going to pay staff, and the music conductor really thought this was going to be like a 2-week thing. And it would be like the flu, and I kept saying, no, this is going to change music forever. And I really believe that because, we've now got about 35 people in the chat, and I know several of them, and a lot of them say the same thing, that the pandemic gave them the time to go back and pull out a guitar or pull out a song that they hadn't played in years. And then now the technology has caught up with us, and they started recording it, and then they put it on YouTube, and then they found other friends. And now we've got this awesome community of people that help each other immensely. I mean, the help that I get from you, Jade. So it was the video you played, Tribes. You did this this whole app on iOS and showed how to use video and make layers of videos to give it creative things. You were doing that, but there was like soldiers marching in one of the videos. That concept, that technology, if you go back and watch Tribes, I put in there. And so I'll steal things from you, from Pete Johns. And there was even a guy today in GarageBand that asked a question about headphones, and why have 20 people tell you about headphones? Just watch Jade's show from yesterday, because she talks about headphones.
That had everything in it yesterday. There's hardly any headphones in it.
But who knew?
Yeah.
But the point is that this community evolved. And, I was also doing sourdough bread baking at the same time. And this community is just a heck of a lot more engaging, a lot more fun than sourdough, and it's calorie free. So,
now you've got to give me an idea for this week. Sourdough apps. There's got to be some out there. There's got to be something there. Hey, I want to welcome everybody who's joined the chat who I may have missed in the last 20 minutes or so. So thank you for being here. Jim Shannon on sounds. Roke, who do I see? Ivan Idea. I think I saw Lou Reality. If I've missed you, I do apologize. But we're chatting and we're doing this for you guys. So with lockdown and all that, what about I mean, a lot of people struggle with mental health during the lockdown. Did being able to create music and put stuff out, did that help you? I mean, obviously we all suffered with putting on weight. Because we all did. You know what? I really think the government should offer every government in the world should offer everybody at least 2 months gym membership just to help us all get back for locking us down. But did finding these communities and being able to make music during the lockdown, how did that help with your mental health? Because many of us struggled. It was tough.
Right. So, the first few days of the lockdown, I was a very social person. I was very active. I was out and about every day, involved with the orchestra, involved with the school districts in the community, because we would match up musicians, and I'd also go to the senior living centers and connect musicians who would go and do a flute recital for the old people and all that, which is basically me. And so I was out every day. And now we got Dr. Fauci on TV saying we're all going to have to stay at home for 2 weeks, and I was like, I can't do that. What will I do, and all that kind of stuff. And the music, I get engulfed in this, and I get lost, and 2 days later I decide to kind of come out of this room and take some nourishment or something, and then I overdo it. But it gave me a purpose. It gave me a goal. And then I met all these amazing people. And it's odd to say that I have friends that I've never met. But, for example, I just got a text message from Vincent Bowie in Dublin, Ireland. And he's become a good friend. We collaborated on one song together. He translated all my lyrics into Gaelic. And, now I feel like I have this friend in Dublin. And, the same is true with other people that are here in the chat. I feel like I know them. A lot of them, we're Facebook friends. You get to know their families and what they're up. Some of them you have fights with, like real friends. And it just made the pandemic, palatable. But another thing, and I've gotten on a soapbox a few times about this in groups, because I'm a music buff and have been my whole life, I look at things from a very serious perspective. And if you think about music that was written, centuries ago, it was written to be played and performed in a certain venue. So you got liturgical music or things like that were made to be played in big cathedrals. In the flash forward in the 90s, we had the big hair and the big arena rock kind of stuff. And the music, REO Speedwagon, really doesn't sound good in a small club, but blues sounds really good in a small club with smoke, and you're bumping up against Buddy Guy, and stuff like that. And it just has that feel, and you can feel the guitar and all that kind of stuff. So flash forward again, you mentioned it earlier, TikTok. Most people are watching music videos on this, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, they're texting 10 friends, posting to Snapchat, looking up a recipe for sourdough bread, and whoever knows what Dom Torregrossa is doing on his phone late at night. And so all these multitasking things, do you really think people are going to listen to your entire 6-minute song, including a 2-minute guitar solo? So, I really love Pete Johns and how he always kind of puts a band on guitar solos. I've tricked him a few times by saying start here, and then 2 seconds later, there's a guitar solo. But we're now looking at music in a 4 inches of a device, right? It's not a big room. It has opportunity to use sounds and instruments that, you wouldn't be able to pull off on a live stage. But it also says maybe we shouldn't be structuring songs with verse, chorus, bridge, guitar, solo, verse, chorus, that winds up 4 minutes long. Because I watched my granddaughter watch one of my videos, which I was extremely proud of. It's the one about the Lookout Nashville. And the reason I was proud of it was I was having really bad arthritis and gout pain and in a wheelchair at the time and using crutches. And yet the song has like 10 costume changes. And so I'd be here in this room, with crutches, getting into a different outfit. And then I'd put the recorder on and I'd limp over to the green screen and I'd start to do something for 15 seconds. And then I'd switch to a different scene. And I watched my granddaughter watch that video, and she watched about 20 seconds of it, and she got bored. And that's the find in this, is that I think we need to start considering how music is consumed in the 22nd century or wherever we are. So I think the pandemic had a little bit to do with that as well. But anyway, that's my take on music and the venue, and kind of learning to adapt to whatever the technology is, learning to adapt to audience tastes and preferences, things like that.
It's interesting, though, really, because at the same time, people's attention spans seem to be getting less and less for things like music and stuff like that. But during the pandemic, everybody watched The Tiger King on Netflix. And in normal life, nobody would have watched that crap, but we all were sitting there glued to that garbage.
But the other thing that's going on, and there's a friend of mine that's in the chat, is not a musician, but is a phenomenal consumer and knowledgeable about music. And he sends me, little links all the time with listen to this song, and it's stuff I would never find on my own. So I think, again, technology and playlists and stuff like that is really different nowadays. So we should change with it.
I don't think that the album and the song is never going to, it's never going to disappear. But I do agree that I think not so much like losing that, but adapting and creating. I mean, the beautiful thing is we have the power. As you said, we're making songs on phones, for God's sake. You can make a song in 20 minutes that only goes for 30 seconds and go and put that on TikTok, and right. someone will blow that up and give it 1 million views. And you and you put less thought into that than the way you were going to wipe your butt with toilet paper, while you're on the toilet. Right. And so that really doesn't take a lot of effort to get something on TikTok for it to blow up. Right. It's very low energy.
If you think about the music that influenced me growing up, it was these multi-disc albums with the little booklets inside, and we would read through every single page, and there'd be a lava lamp in the background, and people would have these huge speakers in there. All that's changed, and I think we need to at least consider it, how music is being consumed.
Oh, I'm going to have to put my lava lamp back down in the garage. I just broke it out last week. No, I want to talk about hard-hitting lyrics, your approach to writing. And to kick it off, I want to play Fire in the Night. I want to do this one now, and then we'll come back and talk about your writing style. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Fire in the Night before we bang it through for everybody?
No, what's to tell? It was a sad situation. And I just thought of the people, not the governments, and the terror that they must be going through. And the song kind of wrote itself.
Absolutely. All right, folks, kick back, relax, grab a beverage or whatever it is that makes you happy. And this is Fire in the Night by Papa Tom Caraher. We'll see you back shortly. Boom.
How down the skies, shadows fall before my eyes, thinking black and white. Welcome to the night. Secrets in the wind, it's moving through the trees. Whispers glide across the night, warning of the fight. Before the fire in the sky, leaving shadows in its path. Here for the people and their cries. Will they live or will they die? Fire in the night. Fire in the night. Fire in the night. Fire in the night. Waiting for the morning skies, searching for the dead, holding out just for one more day, just one crust of bread. Fear for the fire in the sky, leaving shadows in its path. Here for the people and their cries. Will they live or will they die? Fire in the night. Fire in the night. Fire in the night. Fire in the night.
Fire in the Night, Tom Caraher. All right, I want to get straight down to this because there's something that I have noticed with your material. When you write these songs of, the very important stuff, there's very deep stuff, very contemporary, very now, it seems like there's no bullshit. You genuinely give a shit about this stuff. You have looked into it. You've done a little bit of research into it. And it really comes across very strongly like that. So how do you go about picking a topic like this and coming up with these ideas? And because I'd say as a trans person, I know you are very on the, you seem to be a person who's very in touch with what's going on and what's happening with movements, things like that. So how do you choose the topics to write this stuff?
Um, I this is me, whether it's music or anything. I wear my feelings on my sleeve. If I have a good day, you're going to know it. If I have a bad day, you're going to know it. So I write about what I believe in. And if it's a social issue, such as the one we just played, chances are I've donated to that cause. Chances are I've tried to raise money. If you look back through a lot of my videos, I've often, one of the songs that I think might have been one of the first ones that you and I connected on, Jade, was Waiting on the Wind, which was about global warming. And
Yep.
that was another one. I linked that song to a charity. When Thomas Christ did a show really early in the Russian invasion, he put up this charity, and I messaged Thomas and said, "Hey, I want to use that same charity and link it to the song that I'm writing." But I do a little bit of research. I'm going to give props to Pete Johns on this, because he was one of the first people that I said is, people that talk and, play songs, that he really got me, and he got me in a big way. I purposely don't put a lot of details and depth into the songs, although that doesn't sound like what you just said. I try to just put the subject out there, and I probably have an opinion, and it probably comes through in the video, but I try to let the listener formulate their own opinion on the topic. So I'll just put something out there and sing about it. But I'm guilty as charged. I do a lot of Wikipedia and Google searches on a particular topic, and try to make sure it's right. Another thing that, again, I'll give props back to the community at large, and specifically Songwriters Anonymous. So recently, a lot of my songs I'll put there first and say, "What do you guys think? Would you do anything different?" And recently, somebody came back at me on a song that I was in the process of writing and said, "Factually, this isn't right, and I don't like that line." And I struggled for days trying to find a replacement line for that, phrase that would also rhyme, right? Because a lot of my songs have rhyming.
Yep.
And I couldn't, And so I wrote back to the person. I said, "I hear you. I know it's not real factual, but this isn't written from your perspective. It's written from a survivor's perspective. And they're not going to care about how many bullets a gun fires in one round.
Yeah,
they're mad, right?"
Yep.
And so I do struggle to make things accurate. So when I was looking at global warming, I really got into that subject. And when I was in business, I was a financial guy, and I did a lot of research on investment funds and things like that. So I do dive into topics and try to make it as real as I can. But back to what Pete Johns said, is that I'll just put the issue out there. I don't give a lot of details, and I let you interpret as a listener, how you feel about this, because that's really what I just try to get you upset or get you happy or tapping your toes. That's my job.
I think what you get me doing, so you get me thinking, and that's a good thing. And an artist like myself, I do like to push the envelope and get people thinking as well. So I think that's where we come together on that. I like social issues. I like getting people thinking, because there's not enough of it. And, I look back at this, I'm born in the 70s child, so I remember the 70s was so much change, man. There's so many songs had so much importance and really got us through some really tough times. But at the same time, people were doing disco as well and roller skates. So I realized there's a place for that as well too.
I can honestly say I've never played disco, I was on the opposite side of the spectrum for that.
Maybe that's your next
No.
challenge. No, no, a firm no.
Hell
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
I say that to Russ too. I'm never going to do a techno song. It's never going to happen. If it does, it's going to have electric guitar in it and growling. I can't help myself.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
all right. So, what do you use to record your music with? I'm fascinated to know this. Is it a combination of things? Do you use an iPad? Do you use a Mac? What is it? What is it? What do you use?
So I hate to admit this, but you always get people to just tell things the way they really
Yeah,
are.
absolutely.
So most songs start on this, and most lyrics are written on the throne.
Yes.
So I'll be sitting there and I'll have a song in my head. I'll write out some words, and then I hop in the shower, and we all know that showers are a good place to sing a song. So I'll try to work a hook, and by the time I'm out of the shower, I might move. I'll bounce it from here, whether it's notes or whatever, or I'll use the voice recorder app, and I'll bounce it into GarageBand. And from there, I'll start to be more serious about it. So most of my real composing, if you will, is done. And you guys are, seeing me in my environment here. I have instruments all around me. There's a piano in front of me, and I've got a pretty powerful Mac and a gigantic monitor that I can have all kinds of things separated on. And I use GarageBand to its fullest. So the notes that were originally just on my phone are now in the notes section of GarageBand. I bring that track in, and I start to build it from there. I eventually will delete that track, the original track from the shower. But yeah, so those are the tools that I use.
It's just funny. I had that sound effect queued up. It's in the soundboard.
There you go. So since we went down that path, I'm going to talk a little bit about a big thing that we're doing later on today on the Ron Ward Show. It's a collab with 8 other people. So Jose Velez, who was on Fire in the Night, Jason Lemansky, Dom Torregrossa, Chris Lane Sr., Naya, and a couple more folks. And we wrote a song. Actually, Jose started it, and he came up with this idea about a day that is just bad and gets worse. And it turned into Little Shit Happens. So now we have T-shirts, and we're gonna make a real movement out of this song. That gets a ba-dum-bum. So you gotta.
I had that ready. There we go. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for a fart.
You got to tune into Ron Ward's show. This song took over 5 months to produce. When you see the video and you hear the song, you'll understand. Dom effing Torregrossa, if he's still listening,
he's here. Yeah,
has 12 guitar tracks in one song. Wow. I usually have like rhythm, lead, left, right, 12. So it was quite a piece of work, but I'm excited that it's being released today. It's like having a baby.
I am too. I look forward to it. Thank you, Thomas Christ, for putting a link to Ron's show. So make sure you set your reminders for that. And I'm really excited to hear it too, because I got to play a little part in it. I got to master it. So
that's right.
I'm happy. I've heard it already. No. I'm stoked.
But you have not seen the video.
No.
No. The video is I believe gonna rock your socks.
Awesome.
It's happening.
Very excited for that. And actually,
so.
We have another premiere on this show today of a clip of yours too, which we're going to finish with today. What I might do is before I play this, because I'm going to play me and George, and then we'll close out with the premiere for today on here. And then, folks, remember as well, straight after this, if you hang on the end of this show, when I finish this show, it'll dump you over to Pete Johns, who is interviewing Russ 8889 straight after this show. And Russ, please, you've got to swear, mate. We made a deal. We made a deal. Anyway, no, but so hang around for that. That's coming up next. I want to ask about your video production. What do you use to put together your videos? Because, you mentioned earlier you got a little bit of a few little tips for me, but is it a Mac thing? Do you use an iPad for that? What do you use?
So all of the above. I will, most everything is done in iMovie. iMovie has lots of limitations, as everyone that's ever tried to use it knows. And so what I do is I use Canva, and I know that Pete Johns uses Canva, and a lot of other folks do, but I think most people are just using Canva to grab a photo or a video, or maybe make a title or a credits page, and it's good at doing stuff like that. But I will find a video on Canva, so I've got the rights to it because I'm a pro user, so it's legal, and I'll bring it into iMovie. I'll mess with it, change the colors, change all kinds of things in it, maybe lay something else on top of it. Then I put it back into Canva, and I'll do something else to it, and then put it back into iMovie. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. And so I use a lot of apps like that in tandem, because I'll get an idea, and it's something I want to build, so to speak. And if I can think of it, I can probably find an app to create it. And so for me, it's just fun putting myself in environments that don't exist. And you get to do all that with these apps. But I use the phone, the iPad, and the computer, pretty much anything I can grab. Last night when we had the string section in here, I was using GarageBand iOS, and we had multiple leads coming off of it, and the string players were listening to that. And because they were very formal musicians, I was able to talk to them measure 34, measure 67. And we were, talking very specifically about, in their world, about musicality. And then I was recording everything on another machine so that I could just bring it all together. And if things didn't go well, I wasn't going to be messing up my original recording or, things like that. And it worked perfectly. So we were able to, do things. So in other words, two devices being used on one production. And that's pretty common for me.
Awesome. Have you considered LumaFusion? I think LumaFusion is going to be something you'll eventually move to, because
I have. I've gone there. I've also looked at the higher end one from Apple on their product, and I just like keeping things simple. And I won't go to something else. I use all these other websites that everybody uses. I'll grab things. I'll make backgrounds disappear, different apps. It all depends on which one's going to do the job fastest, best for me.
Absolutely.
At the time.
All right, well, let's play this track, and then we'll come back and talk about, we'll kind of wrap things up. So this is Me and George. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this before we play it?
Me and George is kind of an interesting song. I wrote this a long, long time ago, and in the process of making difficult decisions for my life, so to speak. And but I wrote this song in my sleep, and I woke up and I had a dream of this song that was not about necessarily words, but it was music. And I wrote the music down, and I got up the next morning and I couldn't understand a word of what was on the page. It looked like, some monkeys had come in and just scratched all over the paper. But I remembered enough of it to put it together the next day and wrote the song. And then about a year or so ago, I decided to reproduce it. So that song I have played many times in clubs, and it's something I used to play with myself and a cello, and a very simple presentation. But it's really a song about how people make choices during their life, and how to go forward and what's important and things like that. And you'll probably get that through the song.
Awesome stuff. Folks, this is me and George, Papa Tom Caraher. We'll see you back here shortly. Boom.
Me and George, we'd sit by the river and we'd sing to you, la-di-dum-di-da. Sit and stare just a bit by the river, it sounds so true. It sounds so true. On a cold December day, sometimes I feel this way. Sitting here just thinking only of you. Only of you. Keeping it all keeping it straight the way life should be, and I'm holding my arms out to you. Me and George, we'd walk by the river and we'd talk to you, and then we'd see what a beautiful world this place would be when we are free. When we are free. Keeping it all inside while I hide, running away everything I knew, keeping it straight the way life should be, and I'm holding my arms out to you. It's holding my arms out to you. Me and George, we talk it over and then decide which life to live, which one to give to you, my dear, which one for you, which one for you. Keeping it all inside while I hide, running away from everything I knew, keeping it straight the way life should be, and I'm holding my arms out to you. Yes, I'm holding my arms out to you. Keeping it all inside while I hide, running away from everything I knew, keeping it straight the way life should be, and I'm holding my heart out to you. Yes, I'm holding my heart out to you.
Me and George. There you go. Oh, give some applause. I've lost Papa Tom somewhere. He's disappeared out of my stream for some reason. See if we can get him back in. See if he can rejoin my chat. He just has vanished. Let's see if he can rejoin. Yes, please. If he's just vanished out of my chat, yes, please. Let me just write that to him on my phone. I don't know what happened. He disappeared. So hopefully we can get him back on here. What a great song, yeah? Awesome song. While I'm waiting for him to rejoin, let me just tell you something else that's coming up on over the weekend. So Cy Effin has a live stream happening. I'm going to put a link in. So one of the moderators here on this channel, let me copy this link and put this in for you. There you go. There's a link to Cy Effin. He's doing a live stream on the weekend. So hit that and see if you can come and check that out on the weekend. Let me just see if Tom's... No, Tom hasn't rejoined. I don't know where he is. There he comes. He's coming. He's coming. Hopefully. I can see him trying to rejoin the stream, but don't have him on coming back. So this could I don't think I can see you though. You're not coming up for me, Tom. Let me see. Nope. I don't have you back here on my screen, so I don't know what's going on with your end. Maybe try closing down your browser and seeing if we can get you back. Maybe let's try this. Let's try this. Whoops. Come back over here to me. What do we do? What do we do to get him back? What I'll do is give me 1 second, and I'm going to just shut down the control room. So if you just want to leave, and I'll reopen it, and we'll see if we can get you back, hopefully, because you're definitely not coming back in here. So I'll shut down the control room, leave, and I'll leave now, and we'll reboot it quickly. Man, we've had today a whole bunch of technical difficulties. It has been an odd one. I don't know what to tell you. App interview. Just give me a second, guys. There we go. And kick off the room again. Boom. All right, so I'm back in here. Let's see if I can get Tom back. There we go. So I can't see him back. Oh, we know the show's live, but I don't have Tom. He's not here. Look, he's gone. He's gone. So maybe leave the chat. I don't know if he's left or not. This could be the end of the show, guys, because I can't seem to get Tom back, and I don't want to sit here and just make small talk. There we go. Let's bring this back over here. It happens, it's technology. What can you do? Things crash. I'm not getting a response from him. So, well, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just play the premiere. And he's got a premiere. We're going to play this track now, and then we can just go out with the theme music. So this is a premiere that's not on his, hasn't been released on the channel yet. I'll just cue it all up. Yeah, the joys of live. It's a joy to behold. So this is a track called They Didn't Come Home. And it's quite timely, really. It is very timely for what's been going on in the US with unnecessary shootings. So I'm going to play this now, and hopefully while this is playing, I can get him back onto the chat, and then we'll wrap everything up. So kick back and enjoy. This is a premiere on this channel. This is They Didn't Come Home.
She left for the market, said I need a few things. I see you at supper, love, but she never returned to me. I I hugged him goodbye. Then he left for school. What I didn't know it would be our last goodbye. See you later, my loves. Be safe while you're gone. I never knew how important a hug would be. They didn't come home. Now I'm here alone. Someone took them away from me. Now I'm all alone. They didn't come home. They didn't come home to me. She walked across the schoolyard, so psyched for the day. Then an angry young man took my daughter away. One squeeze of his trigger and 19 were gone. He turned all those futures into rubble and scorn. They didn't come home. Now I'm here alone. Someone took them away from me. Now I'm all alone. They didn't come home. They didn't come home to me. Now here I stand. I'm only thinking of you, thinking of you. No need for your hopes and prayers. They show me crying on TV and ask how I feel. No need for your sympathy. I hope the ratings are good and the fundraising too. No need for your hopes and prayers. I'm thinking of you. She just went to market and they walked to school. They didn't come home, yet we live by the rules. They didn't come home. No, they didn't come home. Life's shattered by bullets and weapons of war. They didn't come home. Now I'm here alone. Someone took them away from me. Now I'm all alone. They didn't come home. They didn't come home to me.
Wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff, yeah. Incredible. There you go. What do you say after a track like that? Looks like I've got Tom back. Let me just make sure I've got him back here. Hey, we've got you. Let me just copy you and bring you back into the chat. So at least we can wrap things up. Wow, man, what an incredible song. Fantastic stuff. Tell us a little bit about that. How did this all come about? It's beautiful. You'll be here in a sec. You'll be here in a sec. Yeah, but people can hear you. It's just your pitch is just about to populate. Hopefully. No, I've lost you again. Jeez. Man, technology, this interview has been plagued with technology issues. I don't even know what to tell you guys. I don't even know what to tell you. Let me see. Let me bring this up. OBS camera. Goodness me. It has been one of those days. It has been one of those days. He's completely disappeared again. Unfortunately, this is the way the cookie crumbles. I have to roll with it. I want to thank Tom for coming on today and sharing a little bit about his story, who he is, and his music. For some reason, we're having issues. It is what it is. It's been a bit like this, hasn't it, Tom? Like we tried to set this interview up early in the week. We had heaps of issues. We had heaps of issues today. Just for some reason, things just aren't connecting. But at least we got most of the way. So you know what? Yeah. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Thank you, Tom. All the links to Tom's music is in the description downstairs, his YouTube channel. It is what it is, you know. I want to thank Tom for coming on and sharing his story with us all and all of that. You know, the internet gods, we'll just have to give them the birds up. Remember, Pete Johns is up next. He has Russ on. I hope he has a lot more luck with the internet today, because my YouTube's been disconnecting, connecting. I don't know what is going on. But thank you so much for all of you for being here as well. Thank you for taking the time to support the channel and watch the show. The last question that I would have asked Tom would have been anyway, if somebody was considering becoming creative, when would you suggest them to start? And thankfully, it's a question that always ends in now. So I'll answer it for you, Tom. So if you're thinking about being creative, folks, just do it. Just do it. Just do what Tom has done and just make music. Just make music. Put it out there. Have no fear and just celebrate it and just put it out there, because you know what? You got to do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better, and we all will rise together. And I'll leave you for now. As soon as this show ends, guys, we will dump you all straight over to Pete's channel, so you won't need to click anything. If you've got auto turned on for your YouTube, it'll send you over, and we'll see you over at Pete's. And I'll see you on the weekend for the opening hour. Take care, everybody. See you later.